Good morning, Your Excellencies, esteemed speakers, moderator, Tan Sri, Datuk Sri, Datuk, distinguished guests, sponsor, delegate, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the World Anti-Corruption Conference WACC 2024 here in Bangkok, Thailand. Thank you for joining us today to confront one of the most pressing global issues, corruption. I want to take a moment to highlight the role of the International Strategy Institute, ISI. Our organization is dedicated to promoting good governance and transparency. Through our initiative and events, we want to create a platform where leaders, policymakers, and experts can come together to share insight and develop strategies to combat corruption effectively. Our goal is to foster collaboration and drive meaningful change in governance practices. We launched the Malaysia Anti-Corruption Forums, MACF, in 2019, creating a platform for regional dialogue on corruption within ASEAN. Our premier event was attended by Malaysia's current Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim. Over the years, MACF established a strong foundation for discussions focusing on the crucial relationship between governments and business. By its third edition, the forum went deeper into integrity in governance, the role of a civil society in rebuilding trust, and how economic policy can combat corruption. Recognizing the need for a broader platform, MACF expanded to the international stage as the World Anti-Corruption Conference, WACC. At WACC 2023 in Jakarta, we focus on improving cross-border cooperation with insight from experts from Philippines, Indonesia, Myanmar, Brunei, Japan, Cambodia, and Australia and South Korea. The forum also addressed the balance between global governance and national interests and the importance of closing legal loopholes to ensure accountability. This discussion reaffirmed our commitment to the global fight against corruption. This year, under the theme Transforming Trust, Eradicating Corruption, a global unity for integrity, WACC 2024 will be focused on key issues such as empowering small and medium-sized enterprises, enhancing regional cooperation, strengthening legal frameworks, and leveraging technology to detect corruption. This discussion will help us identify practical solutions that can be used across regions and sectors. As we move into today's discussion and welcome our esteemed speakers from Hong Kong, Indonesia, Korea, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, Myanmar, and Malaysia, I encourage all of you to participate fully and share your insight. The fight against corruption requires both global versions and local actions. The strength of this conference lies in the diverse perspective you bring, and it is through this exchange of ideas that we will find lasting solutions. Finally, I want to thank our partners, Rangsit University, and sponsors for their continued support. Your commitment makes this conference possible and help push the global fight against corruption forward. Let us approach today's discussion with optimism and determination. Together, we can create a future where corruption is no longer tolerated and trust is restored. I look forward to the productive discussion and the solutions we will generate today. Thank you.
Excellency, keynote speakers, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the conference on Transforming Trust, Eradicate Corruption, a Global Unity for Integrity. It is both an honor and a great privilege to stand before you today as we embark on this crucial dialogue. We gather here united by a common purpose to foster a world where trust prevails and corruption is eradicated. As we sit in this room, we represent a diverse tapestry of cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives. Yet we are bound by a shared vision of integrity and accountability. Corruption, in its many forms, undermines not only institutions, but also the very fabric of society. It erodes public trust, stifles economic growth, and perpetuates inequality. It is a global challenge that demands a global response. In recent years, we have witnessed the devastating impacts of corruption on communities around the world, from political scandals that shakes the foundation of governance to corporate malfeasance that exploits vulnerable populations. The effects are profound and far-reaching. But today, we're not here merely to lament these challenges. Instead, we're here to explore solutions, share best practices, and inspire action. Transforming trust begins with recognizing the importance of transparency and accountability. It requires us to advocate for policy that promote ethical behavior at all levels of society. It calls for the implementation of systems that empower citizens to hold their leaders accountable. And it demands collaboration across borders, sectors, and disciplines. This conference is an opportunity to learn from one another. We will hear from experts, practitioners, and leaders who are pioneering innovative approaches to combat corruption. They will share their insights on creating cultures of integrity within organizations, leveraging technology to enhance transparency, and mobilizing communities to demand accountability. As we engage in discussions, I encourage each of you to think critically about the role you play in this transformative journey, whether you are a policymaker, an academic, a business leader, or a grassroots activist. You have the power to effect change. Your voice matters, and your actions can inspire others. Let us also remember that combating corruption is not solely the responsibility of governments or institutions. It is a collective endeavor that requires the active participation of civil society, the private sector, and individuals. Together, we can cultivate an environment where integrity thrives and corruption is no longer tolerated. In the spirit of collaboration, I urge you to connect with one another during this conference. Share your experience, your challenges, and your successes. Let us build a network of trust and solidarity that transcends borders and unites us in our fight against corruption. As we embark on this journey together, let us remain committed to our vision of a world where trust is the foundation of our societies. A world where integrity is not just an ideal, but a lived reality for all. Thank you for your commitment, your passion, and your belief in the possibility of a brighter future. Let us transform trust and eradicate corruption together. Welcome to the conference, and please enjoy your stay in Thailand as your second home. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sawadee. Good morning, Your Excellency, esteemed speakers, moderators, Tan Sri, Datuk Sri, Datuk, distinguished guests, sponsors, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to welcome all of you to the World Anti-Corruption Conference 2024, hosted in the vibrant and culturally rich city of Bangkok. To see so many distinguished individuals from all corners of the globe gathered here together, leaders, policy makers, academics, experts and advocates, is both humbling and a testament to the importance of the work that lies ahead. Together, we are united by a shared commitment to confront one of the most pervasive and insidious challenges of our time, corruption. The theme of this year's conference, Transforming Trust, Eradicating Corruption, a Global Unity for Integrity, reflects the essence of what we seek to achieve, building a world rooted in transparency and accountability. As we all know, corruption is not a new phenomenon, but its ramifications in today's world are more pronounced than ever before. It is not an isolated issue confined to a few corrupt individuals or systems. No, it is a global issue that infiltrates both public and private sectors, distorting markets, undermining good governance, and weakening the very fabric of societies. Corruption, at its core, erodes trust trust between government and their citizens, trust in institutions, trust in the rule of law. When corruption is allowed to persist, it destabilizes economies, exacerbates inequality and diminishes opportunities for the most vulnerable. In many parts of the world, corruption has a direct impact on the quality of life, affecting access to healthcare, education, and justice. It stifles innovation, curbs economic growth, and stunts sustainable development. In a world that is increasingly interconnected through global trade, digital technology, and cross-border cooperation, the consequences of corruption have become far-reaching. Corruption doesn't stop at borders, it transcends them, impacting systems on a global scale. And as such, the need of global cooperation and collective responsibility to combat corruption has never been more critical. According to Transparency International, it is important to acknowledge the challenges our region faces in the fight against corruption. As we head into a significant election year in 20 and 24, with key elections in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and others, the 20 and 23 Corruption Perception Index, CPI, shows that little progress has been made. For the past 5 years, the average CPI score for the Asia-Pacific region has stagnated at 45 out of 100, with 71% of countries falling below the regional and global average. These weak scores reflect the failure of elected officials to deliver on their anti-corruption promises alongside increasing crackdown on civil society and attack on the press and fundamental freedom. However, there are still countries leading the way. New Zealand and Singapore continue to top the index with strong anti-corruption measures, followed by Australia, Hong Kong, Japan, Bhutan, Taiwan, and South Korea. Yet, even these nations face challenges, with New Zealand seeing a decline in its score due to concern over public integrity. As we gather here to discuss the urgent need to eradicating corruption, I would like to highlight the words of our Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. He has set a bold and ambitious target for Malaysia to rank among the top 25 countries in the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index within the next 10 years. To achieve this, he emphasized that entrenched corruption, compromised individual and vested interests must not be allowed to derail this national endeavor. He also stressed the need for a zero-tolerance environment where justice must be done and must also be seen to be done. Leaders in both the public and private sector must set example, earning the trust of society to ensure a whole of society mobilization to stamp out corruption at all levels. In line with this vision, we are especially grateful to have such a distinguished group of representatives from various countries joining us here today. Each nation represented in this room faces its own unique challenges when dealing with corruption, and similarly, each country has developed its own strategies and approaches to tackle this issue. The diversity of experiences and perspective in one of our greatest assets. By bringing together global minds, we have the opportunity not only to showcase what has worked in our own nation, but also to learn from the innovative solutions and policies that others have implemented. This gathering offers us the chance to engage in meaningful dialogue, share best practices, and exchange ideas that could potentially shape the future of anti-corruption initiatives across borders. The collaboration between our countries is key to building more transparent and accountable systems. By learning from one another, we can not only enhance our own national strategies, but also contribute to a stronger, united front in the global fight against corruption. It is our hope that this conference serves as a catalyst for deeper cooperation and that together we can work towards a world free from corruption. Today, we will engage in a series of in-depth discussions that aim not only to dissect the issue of corruption but also to chart a path forward. We are here to find solutions, both practical and actionable. The sessions we have prepared are designed to provoke thought, encourage dialogue, and inspire action across sector and region. One of the most pressing topics that we will explore is cross-border anti-corruption effort in the Asia-Pacific region. The past few years, particularly from 2020 to 2024, have presented unprecedented challenges ranging from economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic to the exposure of vulnerabilities in our cross-border financial system. It is crucial to recognize that corruption thrives where transparency falters, and these vulnerabilities have allowed illicit financial flows to flourish. Data from APEC's 20 and 22 report estimated over 800 million in illicit financial flow within the Asia-Pacific region alone. This figure underscores the scale of the problem and highlights the urgent need for harmonized legal framework, intelligence sharing, and coordinated enforcement across nations. No single country can tackle this issue in isolation. It requires a united front. By focusing on international collaboration and cross-border accountability, we can dismantle the network that enable corruption to thrive across border. Another critical area we will discuss is the role of technology in combating corruption. Our session on leveraging technological solutions to detect and prevent corruption will explore how digital advancement can become powerful tools in this fight. Around the world, we have seen how countries like South Korea and Singapore are pioneering the use of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and big data to strengthen transparency in public procurement and financial transactions, reduce opportunity for corrupt practices, and ensure accountability in our system. According to a 20 and 23 UNDP report, these technologies have the potential to reduce corruption risk by up to 20%, especially in high-risk sectors. For e-procurement platform to smart contract, this innovation offers promising pathway to enhance transparency and accountability in both the public and the private sectors. However, the challenge remains in ensuring that these technologies are accessible, scalable, and secure so they can be adopted more widely across diverse regions and economies. As we discuss this topic and many others throughout this conference, let us not lose sight of a fundamental truth. Corruption is not inevitable. It is a challenge, yes, but one that we can overcome through collective will, innovative solutions, and relentless action. The discussion we have today will touch on various aspects of corruption, political, economic, social, and technological, but they all share a common thread, the belief that with the right strategies, we can dismantle the system that enable corruption and build a world where integrity prevails. This conference serves as more than just a platform for dialogue. It is a testament to our shared determination to build a better, more transparent world free from the scourge of corruption. It is also a call to action. We must act, and we must do so decisively. The strategies and recommendations that emerge from our discussion today should not remain theoretical. They must be translated into concrete steps implemented both locally and globally. Our mission is clear: to create a world where integrity is not the exception, but the rule, where trust in our institution, government, and businesses is restored. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our host for organizing this significant event. It is essential to recognize not only the importance of this gathering, but also the imperative to continue its momentum in the years to come. By touring different countries annually, we can foster international collaboration, share best practices, and strengthen our resolve to eradicate corruption in all its forms. Continue the World Anti-Corruption Conference as a traveling event reinforce the notion that the fight against corruption is a global endeavor. It transcends borders and requires a unified approach. Corruption knows no boundaries. It affects both rich and poor nations alike. By creating a global network of anti-corruption advocates, solidarity and collaboration can flourish in addressing this pressing challenge. One of the unique strengths of World Anti-Corruption Conference is its ability to tour different countries each year. Last year, the conference convened in Jakarta, and this year it is honored to be hosted in the vibrant city of Bangkok. This rotational approach broadens the geographical reach of the conference while engaging a wider array of stakeholders. Each host country contributes its own experiences and challenges in the fight against corruption, enriching discussion and fostering a greater understanding of the issue on global scale. By experiencing the local context, participants can gain valuable insight that may inform their own strategies in their respective countries. Furthermore, hosting the conference in various countries helps raise awareness about corruption and its impact in different regions. It encourages local engagement and empowers communities to participate actively in the discourse on anti-corruption. When individuals see that their country is hosting such an important event, it ignites a sense of pride and responsibility, reminding them that they too have a role to play in promoting integrity and accountability within their society. I also wish to express my sincere thanks to our esteemed speakers and panelists, whose insight and expertise will undoubtedly enrich our discussion. Your collective wisdom will be invaluable in shaping the future of anti-corruption strategies. And to our delegates, your presence here today is a testament to your commitment to a corruption-free world. You are the change maker, the advocate, the defender of integrity who will carry the lesson learned here into your own country, sectors, and community. Before I conclude, I would like to underscore that fighting corruption is not just about addressing symptoms, it is also tackling the root causes, whether through improving governance, reforming public procurement processes, enhancing the transparency of financial system, or promoting ethical leadership. Our task is to root out corruption at its source. And we must do so in a way that strengthens the foundation of trust, transparency, and accountability across every level of society. The world is watching. Our action or inaction will have a profound impact on the generation to come. Let us leave this conference not only with new ideas and strategies, but with a renewed sense of purpose. Together, we can forge a path toward a more just, fair, and transparent world. We must remember that the fight against corruption is not just a challenge, but an opportunity to shape a better future. Each of us has the power to drive real change. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you wish to see the world. Let us live here today with renewed purpose, committed to transforming trust into action and leading by example. As I said, the world is watching, and together we can create a future where integrity prevails and corruption has no place. I look forward to the meaningful discussion and strategic outcome that will emerge from today's session. Thank you for your time, your commitment, and your dedication to this important cause. I pray that this conference will spark meaningful progress in our collective mission, and I wish you all a productive and inspiring conference. Kap Kum Kap. Thank you.
The International Strategy Institute, Dr. Arthit Ourairat, Founder, Emeritus, President of Rangsit University, distinguished speakers and participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great privilege to have this opportunity to address this conference, co-hosted by two institutions who are committed to transforming trust, eradicating corruption, and creating a global unity for integrity. It is refreshing that in a world where we face so many challenges, with headlines dominated by wars and conflicts between nations, political polarization, deglobalization, disruption of supply chains, a slower than expected recovery from the COVID years, climate change, technological disruption, that there remains a group of people who have not lost sight of one perennial plague that continue to damage social, economic, and political progress in so many countries. That is corruption. And indeed, if you think carefully, corruption is very much linked to most of the challenges that the world faces today. It is corruption that is the prime source of the loss of trust and undermining the democratic and political institutions around the world, giving rise to movements that are populist, extremist, nationalist, which then create a ripe recipe for conflict and war. It is corruption that is very much at the heart of previous economic crises. I recall the 1997 Asian financial crisis, the 2008 global financial crisis, both being caused by corruption within both the public and private sectors. Corruption has also been one of the factors that have contributed to the destruction of natural resources through unlawful action. And given that most countries now have the challenge of transforming towards a greener and a higher tech or digital economies, where there are rising costs and greater volatility, the world can ill afford to continue to waste trillions of dollars in bribery and corruption. That is a global phenomenon. But here in Asia and Southeast Asia, we are no exception. This region has long been recognized as a region with much promise and potential, and through many decades had demonstrated the dynamism in terms of economic growth and resilience in facing crisis. And yet, the region continues to be held back and hampered by corruption in various forms, undermining political progress and democratic progress on top of the general global recession that we see in liberal democracy. So it is refreshing and heartening to see a gathering of such a diverse group of stakeholders, but with a common purpose in eradicating corruption. And I see that throughout the day, there is a good range of subjects that will be covered in the common fight against corruption. In the limited time that I have, allow me to share a few thoughts on our fight against corruption. First, whenever we talk about the issue of corruption, there is this temptation to focus too much on the legalistic approach. I have to tell you, even artificial intelligence is guilty of this. Yesterday, I typed in my chat with the GPT, what can I do to fight corruption? And its first answer was tougher and harsher penalties. It still has a lot to learn. Because if you look around, even in this region, you continue to see corruption, despite the fact that there is even capital punishment or hundreds of years of jail sentence, and yet they have failed to deter those engaged in corruption simply because they do so believing that they can get away with it. Yes, a good legal framework, an independent judiciary are very important in this fight against corruption. But we have to be aware that they are simply not enough. A good framework, a good law, a strong judiciary is only as good as their ability to enforce the law. And when it comes to corruption, you are fighting against the rich and the powerful. So you have to put many more pieces in place in terms of protection of witnesses, facilitating whistleblowers, and instilling that confidence in those directly in charge of fighting corruption. The second thing to notice is corruption evolves. As all of us here try to gather and find new ways of fighting corruption, those engaged in corruption also find new ways to find loopholes, to circumvent the law, and to make unlawful gains. In the Thai experience, just a little over 25 years ago, we managed to put in our constitution the idea of having a national and independent counter-corruption commission. And for a while, that worked very well. But as time went on, just like other phenomena of regulatory capture, the commission itself now begins to lose a lot of credibility. That is a lesson that you will have to continue to refresh and reform all the institutions that are put in place to fight corruption. And the third and final thing about these legal issues is that there is one concerning recent trend that we see in the world, and particularly in this region. And that is the fight against corruption itself has been used and weaponized as a political tool. And this creates confusion among the public and make them perceive that the idea of fighting corruption just becomes part of the political game. And therefore, that has weakened the appetite of the public to join this fight. So these are all very important things to keep in mind. But if we step back a little from this legalistic approach and these legal issues, what can we do? There is a lot now that we can do in terms of prevention and deterrence, particularly with the use of technology, something that I believe you will be discussing this afternoon. There are so many new technological tools that can be used. Digital platforms to create more transparency, and also to allow a platform for whistleblowers. Blockchains to have an untampered record keeping in important processes like public procurement and financial transactions. Artificial intelligence that could be used to detect irregularities in various processes where government is concerned. And e-governance in general, which can reduce face-to-face interactions that might give rise to opportunities for bribery or corruption. That, I hope, will be a discussion that will be able to bring up new ideas and innovative ways to use technology in our fight against corruption. Secondly, there is need to create an ecosystem that is conducive to the fight against corruption or to eradicate corruption. The economy, in particular, is important in its structure. I believe that there will be, in the next panel, a discussion on the SMEs And I would remind all of you that whenever the economic structure or the economy is driven by competition and efficiency with well-defined regulations, corruption will find it hard to take root. But if the economy is built around creating rent-seeking, monopolies, discretions of authorities, then these are ripe environments for corruption too. So the general fight against corruption cannot distance itself from how we try to shape the way economic competition takes place within our countries. And I would like to echo Dr. Arthit's words that in this fight against corruption and in creating this ecosystem, it is not just about the government and the public sector. There are so many stakeholders who do play important roles. For instance, the private sector itself, business. I recall that during my time as Prime Minister, I challenged the business leaders in Thailand that corruption is a problem that cannot be solely blamed on the public sector. If politicians were the one accepting bribes, who were paying? And indeed, that gave rise to the establishment of a private sector organization in Thailand now called ACT, Anti-Corruption Thailand, which continues to be very active and makes valuable contributions in the fight against corruption. The media play a very crucial role. You will see all around the world that, especially in established democracies, mature democracies, that politicians are brought to account, not really by the law, but by a free and vibrant media that are not afraid to take on authorities. But the media have also become big business. The media have also oftentimes been captured by vested interests. Again, any fight against corruption must rely on an environment where the media can thrive in its role of bringing people to account. Education, not just among children and the young, but public education about the dangers of corruption, creating the right societal values are also very important. So I would urge all of you also to think about how we can engage the public more through this process of public education. Finally, of course, with all of you here today at an international conference, there is need also to strengthen international cooperation. Indeed, I believe only a handful of countries are actually outside the UN Convention Against Corruption. Yet, I think international cooperation is not nearly strong enough to tackle cross-border financial transactions related to corruption, and also in strengthening each other in terms of investigations when corrupt practices happen. I could go on all day, but I think with these thoughts, I hope they will be valuable enough to contribute to the discussions that you will have in very important panels on the issue of SMEs, on the judiciary and legal system, on leveraging technology and engaging stakeholders in the fight against corruption. The fight is going to be long. It will need the commitment and passion that I hope to see today when you engage with each other. And I hope that such engagement will continue beyond this conference. But for the time being, I wish you a very fruitful discussion, an enjoyable time, and a successful conference. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as all of our distinguished guests have scissors in their hand, on my count to 3, 3, 2, 1. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the World Anti-Corruption Conference 2024 has officially begun.
Dear all honorable guests, please remain on stage for the staff to take your memorable photo. Let us take a few more snaps of our guests of honors while they are on the stage. Thank you very much, everyone.
Keynote speakers, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here at the conclusion of this conference on transforming trust, eradicate corruption, a global unity for integrity, I want to take a moment to reflect on the journey we have shared today. We have engaged in deep discussion, share powerful context, and explore innovation solutions. Together, we have examined the complexity of corruption and its far-reaching impacts on our societies. More importantly, we have also illuminated pathway toward transforming trust and fostering integrity. Throughout our session, we heard from remarkable speakers who have inspired us with their insights and experiences from activists, authorities, or public office, legislative and judiciary, fighting for accountability in their communities, and leaders implementing systematic change at national and international levels. Their voice reminds us that change is not only possible, it is happening right now. Each of these contexts serve as the testament to the reliance and determination of individuals and organizations committed to eradicate corruption. We have learned about the importance of transparency, the power of technology, and the necessity of collaborative across border. We have discussed the critical role that civil society, private sectors, and individuals play in creating cultures of integrity. As we leave this conference, let us carry forward the lesson we have learned and connections we have made. However, our work does not end here. It is essential to recognize that the fight against corruption is ongoing and requires sustained effort and commitment. Each of us has a role to play in this movement, whether we are policymakers crafting religious, business leaders shaping corporate ethics, or citizen advocating for accountability, our actions matter. As we move forward, I urge each of you to take the insight gained from this conference and apply them in your own context. Share what you have learned with your colleagues, your societies, and your networks. Let us amplify our voice and foster a global dialogue that extends beyond this wall. In the spirit of unity, let us also commit to supporting one another in our efforts. The road to transforming trust and eradicating corruption is often fraught with challenges. We can navigate these obstacles. We must hold each other accountable, share our successes and setbacks, and continue to learn from another. As we conclude this conference, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for your participation, your passion, and your unwavering dedication to this cause. And I express my congratulations to ISI and Rangsit University, especially the working team, hosts and co-hosts, that guide us to integrity and justice, and give my hope for a brighter future. Let us leave here inspired to take action, not a dream, but work really. Emboldened by the awareness that we are not alone in the fight against corruption, together we can create a world where trust is the foundation of our societies and where corruption is not tolerated. Lastly, thank you for being a part of this vital conversation, and thank you for your commitment to transforming trust and eradicating corruption. Let's continue to work together, united in our pursuit of integrity and justice. Safe travel, and may you all return to your communities with a renewed energy and determination. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Vicha Mahakun. What a wonderful speech. Please remain on the stage as we would like to give a token of appreciation to you. And for this, we would like to invite Mr. Cheah to present the token of appreciation to Professor Vicha Mahakun. Thank you very much, Professor Vicha, Mahakun, and Mr. Cheah.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us take the memorable